Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Gavin Glow podcast. I'm your host, Gigi. Um, I finally put my stuff up. Yay. Really excited about that because now it's just not a plain wall behind me. So yeah, I hope you're liking the new set. And that's really much it. That's pretty much it. My mom and my aunt came to visit me for the weekend, this past weekend, and that kind of lit a fire under me to go ahead and get everything set up in here, get everything on the wall because I just had everything in the corner and I wanted to make sure that she had enough room to, put her stuff and walk about and all that. So, yeah, I finally got my office all squared away, including the recording studio portion. So that's very exciting. I've got a good camera, I've got a good microphone, and hopefully the quality of the podcast will be up from here. We're coming up on 1 year, which is really exciting as well. So hopefully by 1 year, I'll have everything squared away and hopefully I'll just be ready to kick it up a notch. Another thing that I wanted to address as far as housekeeping goes with the podcast, I am changing the drop days from Fridays to Tuesdays. That's just going to give me a little bit more time to, well, I guess it doesn't really give me more time, but I just think just like the timing of the week that it is makes it a lot easier for me to get all my content together and make sure that I have everything squared away the way I want it to. I have time to record. I have time to edit as I need. I have time to pull together marketing stuff, just all the things that would make the podcast be seen by others. So I'm really working on just getting that all squared away so we can really just start seeing some traction here. Yeah. So I guess I'll just go right into life updates then. Like I said, my mom and my aunt came to visit me this weekend. We went to the farmer's market in the town that I live, and it was the first time that Russell and I have gone since we moved here. So that was just really exciting to check out. And it was nice to show my mom and aunt around as well. And we had a great time. There was a lot of really cute stuff as far as like crafts and jewelry and all that goes. So that was really great to see. There's a lot of things that I want. I really had to curb my enthusiasm and pump the brakes, but I did make sure that everyone that had things that I like were coming back the other weekend, so that every weekend maybe I can get a little this, a little that, just because they had some really cute jewelry. Especially there was this one stand that had really cute like Halloween themed jewelry, and it's just going to be perfect for Halloween Horror Nights, which I cannot wait for that. And we also went to, where did we go? Oh, we went to downtown Winter Park and we went to the wine room. For people who don't know what the wine room is, it's so fun. It's so cool. If you're in the Orlando area, you have to go just to have a good time. It's not really like, you can get some food there, but I wouldn't say that it's necessarily like a great food spot. What it is great for is just like going to get some wine with friends, and just hanging out. It's a very interesting, unique concept. I really have never seen anything like it. My mom said that there's something like it in South Florida, but I've never heard of it, and she can't remember the name, so I don't know. But this one, it's like you get a card, you fill up however much you want. So whether it's $20 or however much you want. And you go around, there's machines on all the walls. There's different, and like they're grouped by varieties of wine or like types of wine. And you can put your little card in, you put your wine glass under the nozzle, and you can pick a tasting size. You can pick like a small glass, you can pick like a large glass. And so I usually just go around and do all like the tastings, and I just try like a bunch of different wines and just see what I'm liking. Normally, and you can buy them if you like them. So normally I'll take home a bottle. I found one that I really liked. It was the Pacific Rim Red Blend, and that was really good. It was like a sweeter red blend, but it was delish, and it was like wicked something. So they were saying that it's Elphaba's favorite wine. So I have to get it. You can see, you can kind of see it. It's kind of blocked out or like cut out from the view of the camera, but I have my wicked poster up there. So you can take home whatever wine you liked. My aunt also found a wine that she really liked, and she brought home a bottle. So it's just a really great time, especially when you're bringing in people from out of town, because I think it's like a more unique concept. And it's not just somewhere to go out to dinner. I feel like there's a lot of food place. I feel like with Orlando, the area, it's just like you're either going out for food or you're going out for Disney or Universal. So I like to find fun little things that are just different. And I've been going there since I was in college, honestly. So it's a place that I've loved for a couple of years. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I love bringing other people to see it. And it's really cool because it's actually the location of, it used to be a bank. And so they converted the downstairs like bank vault to like a little lounge area. And that's really fun. I really like to just chill and sit in there. Yeah, it's just a good time. So we did that. We went to Boca also in downtown Winter Park for dinner, which is always so good. And then we went to Booyah for brunch the next day, and that's also in downtown Winter Park, and that place is also fire. And oh my god. Sorry, I've been working all day, and now I've hit my wall for sure. I wanted to record earlier, but obviously I could not because I was working. So, now it's after 5, and I definitely hit a wall around 3, to be honest. So, sorry, I might be having to cut a lot of yawns out of this episode, but I'm hanging in there. Okay. So yeah, just great brunch spot. Love Booyah. They have really great bottomless brunch because they can. Sorry, my nose is itchy. Because they will do like a traditional mimosa. I think they'll also do like cranberry juice or pineapple juice. They do a couple different types of juices. They also have a passion fruit mimosa, and they also do red and white sangria, and I think they do their beer sangria, their cerveza sangria as well, under the bottomless. And you can mix and match. Like if you start with one, like you don't have to stick with that. You can kind of like try a couple different things. So I really, really recommend that place for brunch. And all the places we went, my mom and my aunt loved, and so that was really nice. They were our first guests in the new house, and so it was really nice to just have people visiting and take them to do some fun stuff. So yeah, it was really exciting. And that's also part of the reason why last week was just really hectic, and I was just not going to be able to put out an episode on Friday, and I was already kind of toying with the idea of switching episode days. And so this weekend, definitely I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to do it another day. And so I feel like it's probably, oh my gosh, it's probably best to go ahead and switch over now. So that's what we're going to do. So join us Tuesdays now for the Gab and Glow podcast. Okay. What I see, I did not write any notes for myself today. So we're just really going off the cuff. We're just doing the damn thing. I'm really trying to think if there's like any other life updates. I just binged all of Mormon Wives, but I don't even want to get into it yet because I will talk about that forever. So let's talk about that next week. Maybe we'll do a catch-up episode. My hopes is that maybe I can get my friend Tessa on the podcast within the next few weeks to discuss that, which we're watching separately. And also we've been watching The White Lotus. She's never seen any of the seasons. I've already watched season 1 and 2. So I rewatched those with her, and then we were watching season 3 together. Obviously, we're very late, but I think I just wanted us to be able to just like chat about all the White Lotus lore over all the 3 seasons, and yeah, just chat about it. So hopefully we can get her on sometime soon for that. Otherwise, I will just chat about Mormon Wives on my own, and we'll do White Lotus and at a later date. But hopefully that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. But definitely these next couple weeks, they're definitely going to get very hectic. My birthday is coming up. It is the day this episode comes out is May 20th. My birthday is June 7th. So I have about 2 weeks-ish, 2 weeks and a couple days to get my shit together. And yeah, so because I'm doing all the decorations, I'm doing a casino theme, which I'm really excited about. We're gonna do like poker games, or like we're gonna find like little roulette drinking games to play or something like that. I'm gonna have music playing, we'll dance and just have a great time. But I want to do like, casino decorations and all that kind of stuff. So I got to get working on those things. I got to get my playlist going, just all that good stuff. So a lot to do. Also, I have a lot of concerts coming up and like events coming up in June that I need like outfits for and all that stuff. So just getting all that together is a lot. And yeah, it's exciting, but you guys know how I am. Just like even good stuff, I just too much can just be a little overwhelming. And so just I've got to go down my list and I've got to prioritize all the things and just figure out how I'm going to get it all done. So that's what we're doing. But today, I wanted to talk about the Knockemout series by Lucy Score. I started with the first book, which is Things We Never Got Over. I was absolutely obsessed. I read it so fast. Like, I just gobbled that shit up. I was addicted to it. And it really, like, so I thought, now I can't even remember the book that I read in between. Oh, People We Meet on Vacation. So that was the last book I read before these guys. So I thought that really like kind of that started helping me start to climb my way out of my reading slump. But this book was like boom, boom, boom. I literally could not put it down the second that I opened it. The first couple like lines, I was already like so hooked, and it was a great book. I highly recommend it for anyone that is having a hard time getting back into reading. I think it's a phenomenal read and a super easy one. So I wanted to kind of get into all 3 books because as soon as I finished the first one, I literally needed more. I read the second one and then I read the third one. I just read them all back to back to back so quickly I read all 3 of them within the span of 3 months, 2 months. 2 months. I read probably the first one in a little under 2 weeks, but then like the second and the third one, I just slowed down a little bit because, I had just moved and I just didn't have as much time. But holy crap, I was in love. So yeah, we're gonna go over the Knockemout series today. And, I'm going to do the usual. I'm going to talk about what I wrote in my I'm booked all weekend journal, courtesy of Target. And we'll go book by book. I'm not going to do a play by play. This is what happened throughout the whole thing. But I will definitely be touching on like the parts that really spoke to me and that I really liked and that I just want to discuss a little bit more. So this will obviously, because of that, entail some spoilers. So if you want to read it and you don't want to know anything about the book, go ahead, log out, read them, and then come back. But yeah, we're gonna just dive right in. So first we have, and also I bought all three of these. Hold on, my babies. I bought them all from I bought all these Gorgina books from just like a local bookshop in Winter Park. I really like the special editions that they have. So these are all like a special edition one. They're probably really hard to see, so I'll just kind of hold them up one by one. But they're all kind of the same style. They're like iridescent-y, so I just love them. That's what really drew me in, is I saw the 3 special editions that they had at this bookstore that I was walking through, and I was like, I need these books. They're so beautiful and I just love them. So I had to immediate cop. So yeah, they're beautiful. That's what really drew me into them. So I bought all 3 and they were on my bookshelf for a little bit. But as soon as I opened that first book, I was going in on all 3 of them. There was just no way I wasn't. So here we have our book review. Here I have our book review. So the book title is Things We Never Got Over. The author is Lucy Score. The genre is a romantic comedy. I rated this book a 5. Obviously, I could not put it down. As far as the quick opinions of this book, I checked off that it was one of the best books I've ever read. That's true. I was addicted. Like I'll come back to that. Never mind. One of the best books I've ever read. Pure entertainment, guilty pleasure read for sure. Emotional and hysterically funny. So I checked off all of those. The reason why I chose this book is I have heard great things about it on Book Talk, obviously. The special editions that I saw obviously had to seal the deal for me. I cannot walk away from anything iridescent, and it was calling me. I just knew I had to have them. What also made me, so that's what kind of made me buy the book. What made me pick it up and read it at the point that I did was I did see that it was one of the books that was going to be a movie adaptation soon. And oh my God, I cannot wait for this movie. And if anyone fucks it up, I'm going to freak out. I'm telling you, I'm going to freak out because I'm just going to crash out so hard because no, like I was so excited for the, and it's a whole thing and I don't even want to talk about who's right, who's wrong and all that. all I want to talk about is like that the It Ends With Us movie was just so ruined. Like I haven't even seen the movie because I can't, like the whole thing was just ruined for me, and I'm really unhappy with the casting just because it just wasn't true to the book and how it was written, and that bothers me. And I know they were trying to, like, I don't know, make it more realistic. Well, no, you wrote it down. That's what it was. That's what I was picturing. And so now you have to deliver that. Like, you're not just gonna change everything like retroactively. That's not how that works. So whatever. Fingers crossed for a really good movie adaptation. And I'll tell you some of my fan castings for these books, and I'm sure like you guys will be like, what the hell? I don't agree. And I get that. I get that. Really, with this casting, they really can't mess it up too much, as long as they stay true to like the age range and the like physical appearance of the people in the books, because I feel like that's just like a very important, especially the men. Like I feel like the archetypes of the men, like it's important to stay true to that, or it like really changes just like the vibes of the book and the movie. So yeah, we'll go over that last because I have the notes on my phone, and I should have I wrote it down like a couple weeks ago, and now I'm like wondering if I even like agree with my with my picks now. So we're just gonna blind react to them, I guess, because now I can't even remember what I wrote down. But yeah, fingers crossed it's good. Fingers crossed, because if it's not, I'm not gonna be okay. Okay, so the date I began reading this book was March 20th, and I finished it on March 31st. So it took me 11 days to read this book. Mind you, it's thick. She thick. Look at that girth. Has anyone ever watched River Monsters? That used to be my shit. Let me see. This is a 460 page book. So, not too shabby, honestly. I really just went in. I could not put it down. I was reading multiple chapters a night, like so many chapters a night, because I just could not put it down. So the summary that I wrote for this, I really tried to like embody if I was writing a summary for the movie that I want to watch of this movie or of this book. So, runaway bride Naomi turns up in Knockemout, Virginia to help her evil twin, becoming an overnight guardian to her surprise niece. Local grump / business owner Knox takes an immediate but hostile interest in Naomi, and their relationship slowly blossoms into something more as they navigate their individual challenges. So obviously, like I look up how other people, or like how Google would summarize the book, and then I kind of like switch things around based on like my perception of the book. That's basically the gist of, without giving too much away so far. This is where you're really gonna want to skedaddle if you don't want any spoilers. Going into my favorite quotes from the book. So there were a lot of, so I'm going to do the quotes before I do the highlights, because that's just how it's laid out in my journal. However, I do like want to, I'm going to kind of touch on why I wrote down these quotes and why I like them, but it might not make sense until I get to the highlights. So just keep that in mind. So the first quote is, "There's a difference between taking care of someone because you love them and taking care of someone because you want them to love you." That quote in particular very much resonated with me, not like not now, but it was because I've had this thought like earlier in my or a couple of years ago, probably right around the time that I met Russell, just because I had been with a couple people that, whatever. And I'm not even going to get into all that because that's not the point. But the point of this is that like I started thinking like, did I really even like love any of these other people? Cuz like why? If I did, why? Right? And so then I started thinking, well, like, did I even love them? Or did I just want them to love me? Did I just want to be accepted and loved by someone? And it really didn't matter who it was. I just wanted it to be, and like, I would love anyone and I just wanted them to like love me, or like, I would love anyone who loved me kind of like vibe. And so that's why, when that quote was said, I was kind of like, oh, that reminds me of what I had or the thought that I had a couple years ago, and it just really spoke to me. And this quote, like in particular, is kind of about Naomi because she did everything for her ex-boyfriend and was just taking care of him, and like she wanted to be with him. Like now she says it's just because it just made sense. And so I think that's where it's like, okay, so the whole like overarching theme and like kind of what we find out about her is that, she just really wants to be like loved for her, and she just wants to be like enough and not too much, and she's just spent all her life like trying to like be perfect. And I think like that just really resonates with me. So I saw a lot of like myself in Naomi. I saw a lot of Naomi in myself. And so that's why I was, I think, really drawn to this book as I was reading it. So yeah, I really love that quote. The next one is, you get to decide how you show up in this world. So that whole like sentiment is just you. And the reason why it resonated with me is that like, I think I try to do certain things to keep up, like, or like it's something that I try not to do as much, obviously. Like, I really have been working on like my people pleasing and stuff like that. But I've always just kind of like, tried to be perfect so that I was accepted by people, and people didn't have like a certain narrative about me that I didn't want. And I don't want people to think I'm any certain way. But really, like, all you have to do is like show up as you, and like just do your best, and just live your life authentically, and like show that version of you to the world, and like that, like, you decide how you showed up, not other people. And so I think that's very powerful, especially for a people pleaser. The next quote I put were, mistakes were meant to be learned from, overcome. They weren't meant to destroy. They actually put that on the back of the book. So obviously it's an important quote to the overall theming of the book. But it's just more like, people are not perfect. We all make mistakes, and all we need to do is learn from them, and move forward in life, overcoming those mistakes and obstacles, and just doing the best we can with that information that we learned. And they're not meant, like, one mistake doesn't count you out for the rest of your life. It doesn't make you unlovable or not worthy of friendship or a great career or whatever. So I think that that was a really powerful quote. I really loved that one. Just one that said, stop trying to be so damn perfect, which I needed to write that down so that I remember it, because I need to remember that. Next one is, eventually you're going to give a little too much and you won't have enough left over for yourself. Again, that's the ode to the people pleasers. You know, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of yourself. You have to be true to yourself. You have to do the things that you want to do and show up in this world how you want to show up. And you cannot let others dictate that. And you have to take up space. You can't live your life making yourself small to make others comfortable and things like that. You really have to take care of yourself and, fill your cup first and just be you and all that. So those were the quotes that I picked for this book, the first book. So moving on to the highlights. Obviously, one of the top highlights that I have is that it officially ended my reading slump. I literally could not put it down. Like, the chemistry between the main characters was so delicious and juicy. And I had to know, like, when they got together and how, and just all the things. I could not wait. So it really ended my reading slump. It was spicy. I feel like when there wasn't actual, like, when there weren't actual, like, scenes of them doing stuff, um they were, their inner monologue is thinking about it. They're talking about how the other person is so sexy, or like how attracted they are to them, or just like the inner monologues, especially like the inner monologue. I love an inner monologue of a man in a book. Oh my god, like, especially when it's written by a woman. Because it's just so delicious. So yeah, it was really spicy. It had me, feeling some type of way about it. I was, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Good stuff. Good stuff. Highly recommend. I really like the grumpy sunshine trope. So, as I said in the summary, um, Knox is, a grump. He's kind of like a recluse. He doesn't really let that many people in. He's notorious for not being in a relationship and keeping to himself, and just kind of having one night stands and not really wanting to develop any sort of like relationship with people. That was kind of his vibe. And then, the sunshine, Naomi is, well, obviously she's a people pleaser, so she's all about like making other people feel good and all that stuff. But then in that same breath, she tries to be very positive. She tries to make everything good for everyone around her. So that's just kind of like her shtick. So the grumpy sunshine trope of it all is always so good. See, Twisted Love was also a sunshine grumpy trope, and I did like that one, but I don't know, there was something about it that didn't hook me as much as this book for whatever reason. Just, I think, the way it was written, and I don't know who it was, whether it was Knox or Naomi, that pulled me in more, but I really like both of them. They are my favorite characters out of the whole series. So yeah, I just love them, and I love that trope. I feel like there's just nothing better than a girl breaking down walls of a guy and him falling in love with her when he like never falls in love with anyone. Like, isn't that just the dream? It's a good trope. I love it. There's also like a fake dating trope in there, honestly, and I can't even remember why they were doing, like, it didn't really make sense, but Oh, well, I guess I don't know. He like could not stay away from her. They were horned up for each other. She my next highlight, and so these go into each other, so I'm just gonna kind of go into it now. Um, Naomi taking in Waylay. So Waylay is her surprise niece that she didn't know anything about. That is the daughter of her twin sister, her evil twin sister. And basically, what happens is Naomi shows up in town, and this happens like within like the first two chapters, so it's not too much of a spoiler. But um, she shows up in town because her sister asks for her help. But then her sister like steals all her shit, but leaves her daughter in Naomi's hotel room. And so she meets Waylay, and she basically her mom like her Waylay's mom left Naomi a note basically saying, I gotta go. I got some shit I gotta do. Take care of her, whatever. So Naomi ends up being a unexpected guardian to Waylay, and Knox like pretty early, like the first. So Naomi's car gets stolen, and I'm just like, because I don't want to. Okay, I warned you guys there was going to be spoilers, so there's just going to be spoilers, and I'm just going to talk because I have to stop just like stopping and trying to be like careful about what I say. I just want to say it. So apologies. But Naomi, like in the first chapter, she like goes into a coffee shop to get coffee. But Tina had caused issues in there like the week prior or the couple days prior, so she is not allowed to be in there. And so I guess some other patrons had let Knox know that like Tina was back in there causing trouble. And so he went in there and was like yelling at Naomi, and Naomi's like, okay, well, like, I don't freaking know you. Like, why the fuck are you yelling at me? So then they get off on the wrong foot, whatever. She goes outside. She realizes that her car's missing. Ends up that Tina's carjacked her, stole all her shit. And so Knox drives Naomi to the police station. That's where we first meet Nash, his brother. Um, he's the chief of police, and she gives her statement. He takes her back to her motel and is helping her out. And so he kind of just like really starts just helping Naomi like get on her feet in this town after her sister stole all her shit. And so Naomi and Waylay end up going and living in one of the houses that is on like his grandma's property. Um, that I think he might own because spoiler alert, he won the lottery at some point and like became rich. So now he like owns a ton of the buildings and just all that stuff in the town and all that kind of stuff. So she ends up like living right next door to him, and he's just very much taking like interest in her and Waylay and just like taking care of them and helping Naomi get on her feet. So obviously he's like attracted to her. They kind of like they bicker. They kind of have that like you know dynamic. It's not like enemies, but it's just kind of like they bicker. They like don't get along quite well because of like how they met and all that stuff. And he's just like grumpy, so he's always like grumpy with her, and she's always like, you're so grumpy, whatever, that whole thing. So they have a lot of chemistry, whatever. So they end up hooking up, but then someone catches them, and I forget exactly who, but then they're like, oh well, we're like dating, and it's like, so it's kind of like to help Naomi work on getting custody of Waylay. So it's kind of like, oh, well, like, yeah, we're in a committed relationship and whatever. And then it also is to kind of keep Naomi's parents and her friends from like worrying about her because she ran away from her wedding, and like that's how she turned up in Knockemout. Like she literally like ran away from her wedding. She had got like she was at her wedding. She got a text from Tina saying she needed help and she dipped. She already wasn't sure that she was going to go through with it, and this just kind of like solidified it for her. So they end up like fake dating to kind of take the heat off of Naomi's runaway bride thing, and also, I guess, keep up good appearances for like the social worker. So they have this like fake dating trope going on. Um and so yeah, I think that being said, I really did love like the story of Naomi taking in Waylay. I think it was just beautiful to see like like their relationship and how Waylay opens up, and just kind of like how mistreated she was by her mom, and just her like opening up to Naomi, and um just becoming more like she was just so closed off, and just really going coming into her own and just blossoming with Naomi. So it was really nice to see. um Another one of the highlights is just like family dynamics and like effect on relationships. So kind of with Naomi always having to be like, Naomi has always felt like she had to be perfect to kind of like counteract like the badness of her sister, and just like try to like make things easier on her parents. And so that's kind of, she just got really into the habit of people pleasing, and that really carried on into her relationships, and that's kind of how she ended up in the situation that she was before she met Knox. And then as far as Knox and his family dynamics go, and this kind of bleeds into the second book as well, like because obviously Nash and Knox are brothers, so they obviously have the same like trauma, but it manifested in like different ways. Like they go about like dealing with it in different ways, and like kind of their overcompensations for things. So for Knox, or well, just the whole story is like, so Knox and Nosh oh my god, now like I can't say it. Nash and Knox's were together in love, beautiful. Their mom died, and when their mom died, his dad or their dad became very like depressed and got into drugs, and he became a drug addict, and he just was like not there for the boys, and they ended up getting taken in by their grandparents. So that's Liza J and um whoever her husband was. And then her husband died, and so then Liza J kind of got like um really depressed, and she kind of was more to herself, and just kind of let like the house go, and it just wasn't like as lively and bright and like fun around there as it used to be. And so they really just sunk into like this like recluse. um and because of that, that made Knox be more like, okay, like, well, I don't ever want to fall in love, because like look what happens, like, and then you can just lose them, and then you're depressed, and you can just have all these things. So um he just, that's his biggest reason why he just like doesn't get into relationships. And um yeah, so that's just kind of their challenges that they're facing as they're trying to come together. Just their different like pasts, and how that makes them like handle their relationships. I also love just like the finding a start in a new town. I think that that's something that I've always dreamed of doing growing up. So I was like, oh my gosh, like what if you just like, find a new start in a small town and you make all these new friends and you fall in love and just like all that. It's just like a little fairy tale. And I feel like that just made like this book very cute for that reason, because she was accepted into this town with all these people, and she made all these friends that love her for her, and don't think she's too much or too little or whatever the case may be. So I loved that for her, because she really came into her own in Knockemout. So I loved seeing that. I thought it was also like funny, just like the trope of like sibling opposites, because they both are like the opposite of their siblings. So like Naomi, she's like perfect good girl, and Tina is raising hell bad girl, and then Knox is like grumpy recluse, kind of like not really like the straight and narrow type dude. And then his brother is like polished, good boy chief of police, and he wants to get married, he wants to have a family, like all that. So like that's like his dream, and that's not his brother's dream. So that's kind of a thing. And so like in the first book, it's kind of like a thing of like, I mean, it's so obvious that she's not gonna pick Nash because of the two main characters in the first book, but it's kind of like a, will she go for Nash or will she go for Knox? Because Nash is probably more like who she should go for, like on paper, but there's just this heat and this chemistry between her and Knox, and so it's just like so good. There's also a like crime boss storyline, which is really fun actually. It adds just like this air of like mystery to the book, and just there's just like a air of danger, like, and we don't really know what it is, or like, but there's like something a little spooky going on, maybe we need to keep our guard up, whatever. So I was really liking that, because I think it just added like an extra layer to the plot, and it's fun. I like how the impending threat of danger really like brings the characters together and just makes them really want to like live every day like it's their last and profess their love and all that stuff. I also put like one of the highlights is I do feel like Knox and Naomi remind me slightly of me and Russell. I feel like I feel like Russell and I are kind of like the grumpy sunshine trope. I don't know. But well, it's just more like I'm more like outgoing and bubbly, and I think he's just like a little bit more like to himself and a little bit more introverted, and doesn't love to be like around a bunch of people all the time and stuff like that. So, and he doesn't, I feel like it's not like he doesn't like people, but it's like he doesn't feel like comfortable around most people. So it's like when he likes you and is comfortable with you and wants to like, I feel like when he wants to pursue a relationship with you, that's like rare. So I don't know. It was kind of giving. It's kind of giving me and Russell. I don't know. Um, and then I also just put like one of the highlights that I also put was just dealing with perfectionism slash like not feeling enough or too much. I feel like I've struggled with that a lot throughout my life, within just like my relationships with like romantic relationships, platonic relationships, familiar relationships, all the things. So I think I just really resonated with this book, and it also was just so good. It made me laugh, it made me feel, and I just really liked it. So yeah, I'm 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, or 5 out of 5, I guess is what I put. Okay. So within the first book, all the other people that the other two books are about, like they're introduced in the first book. So just to kind of like lay the scene of like kind of what we know about these people from the first book before I go into the second book is, or the first and the second and the third book is, so we have Lena. She comes in kind of late in the book. She shows up kind of out of nowhere, and it's like kind of when Naomi and Knox break up, like in the later act of, like, before they come back together, they break up. And Lena is someone that Knox like kind of dated, I think, when they were like in college, and he obviously was not letting her in. He didn't want like anything more than hooking up. So then, he tried to push her away, and then Lena was like, okay, well, we can be friends. So they've kept a friendship. Like, she's one of like his only friends besides Nash and Lucian. So in Jeremiah. So yeah, I feel like I should probably just like go over all the characters before we go forward, because I feel like the first book was very heavy, like Naomi and Knox, and everyone was like supporting characters. But in the other two books, like everyone else is also like very, very, very prominent. So it's probably important that we go through all of them. So yeah, Lena, she was with Knox in college. They were still friends. So she kind of comes in late in the book. She kind of shows up. She gives Knox a kiss, and then Naomi's like, what the hell? And then Lena finds Naomi, and she's like, oh, like, we're not together. Like, we used to be together when we were younger, but we're like really good friends. And it's nothing. I just kiss him sometimes, I guess. I don't know why she came in and kissed him. I just thought that was weird, right? But anyway. So then Lena takes Naomi out, and they talk, and they're like good to go. So they end up becoming really good friends, and Lena ends up staying in town. But that, like, we don't really know too much about her. Sloane is someone else that Naomi meets in the first book, and she's the librarian of the town, and she gives Naomi a job at the library. So Sloane's like her boss, but also her best friend. And Sloane also has a niece that is Waylay's age, named Chloe. And so Waylay and Chloe become really good friends. And so they can all, kind of do things together. And so that's really nice for Naomi to just obviously get a get a job, get a friend, and all that. So that's kind of who Sloane is. But Sloane also grew up in town, so she knows Knox very well. She knows Nash very well, and she knows Lucian very well. Obviously, like I said, Nash is Knox's brother. He's a chief of police, and he's kind of like in a will they won't they with Naomi as well in the first book. Lucian is Nash and Knox's best friend from childhood, growing up, and he basically like grew up, left town, created this like corporate empire in DC, and he's rich, he wears suits, he's tall, dark, whatever. So Lucian's kind of like the tall, dark, handsome one, and then Nash is like the polished, good boy, handsome, like all American boy next door type. And then we'd say like Knox is kind of like the burly lumberjack type, Viking type, beard. Like, I would say I imagine like Knox to be blonde, and Nash to be like a sandy blonde. I don't know. This is how I imagine. I imagine Knox as that meme, that cartoon meme where it's like, oh, my parents at 25, like, we're getting married and having a house and kids and whatever, and then it's like, me at 25, I want cheese or something like that, like something stupid. But it's like that guy who's like who's blonde with a beard and has like a black shirt. It's like a drawing. Do you know what I'm talking about? That's what I imagine him looking like. So yeah, so those are kind of the main characters. So then book 2 is Lena and Nash's story. So obviously it's by the same author. The book title is Things We Hide from the Light. Again, it's a romantic comedy. I gave this one 4 stars. I feel like out of the 3, it was my least favorite. Mainly just because I don't think I love, not that I don't like Lena, I just don't feel as connected to her. And she's just not, I don't know, she's just not written in a way that I can really resonate with. But I still think that like the spice is good. I think that their story, like Lena and Nash's story, is cute. Again, it's just, I don't think anyone can compare to um Naomi and Knox, but they're cute. And I think I like them more like in the 3rd book than the 2nd book. Maybe it's just because I'm not like in their heads. I don't know. I don't think I like being in their heads because I liked Nash in the 1st book and I liked him in the 3rd book, but I wasn't as um liking him as much in the 2nd book. So I don't know, maybe I just didn't really like being in their head and just knowing every single thing they're thinking, because it was sometimes a little too much maybe for me. But yeah. My quick opinions of this book is pure entertainment, guilty pleasure read, emotional and hysterically funny. I did think it was funny. It had some funny moments. It had some emotional moments. I did think it was entertaining. Again, it's spicy. It's good for that regard as well, but I wouldn't say it's the best book I've ever read. Why I chose this book, it was the 2nd book in this series, and I really wanted to, keep reading on about what everyone was doing. The date I began this book was March 31st, and I finished it April 13th. So it took me about 13-ish days, 14-ish days. The summary that I wrote for this book is: Nash deals with the aftermath of being shot while Lena keeps her real reasons for being in town under wraps. Their budding romance is complicated by their hidden internal and external forces. So for context, that the shooting, halfway through the 1st book, Nash is shot. They don't really know who did it. They don't know who did it, but they know it's like in connection to that crime boss story that I was telling you about. So that's kind of where that's from. And this book is kind of trying to figure out who did it. Trying to get, Nash couldn't really remember who it was or what happened, and he just was having like PTSD, like kind of memory loss around it. So they didn't know who it was. They didn't really know what to do, all that. So that's kind of a portion of this book, is just trying to unravel that, get him like back to good mental health. He's just I think it's kind of, it's very clear in the 1st book like that he's not himself after he gets shot and he's struggling. But I think then being in his head, he's really struggling with everything. And then Lena, she does stay in town after, like, because she doesn't really have, she doesn't never give a explanation to why she's in town. She's just kind of there in the 1st book. And so the 2nd book is kind of going into why she even showed up in the 1st place. And that has to do with her job. So she has kind of like a secret job that she really hasn't told anybody about. And with everything that had gone on with Nash, he obviously is not going to take too kindly to people like hiding things from him, especially if they do have to do with the reason why he was shot, which not necessarily, but it's just kind of connected. So I think they just have a lot of issues with like trust there. Lena's a very like closed off person. She has a really hard time letting people in. She's very much like Knox, I think, in that way. Just used to being a loner. She doesn't really she's not really looking for a relationship or anything like that. She's never really like been interested in sharing her life with anyone or like changing anything about her life to like fit someone else in. So that's kind of the thing, because obviously, like I said, Nash is kind of that all-American good boy wanting a wife and kids and just that whole shebang. So obviously they're into each other, but she does not want a relationship and he wants a wife. So it's kind of like, what do we do here? Moving on to my favorite quote. So I really like this one because um, I just thought it was beautiful, and I do think it's really true. So being vulnerable doesn't mean you're weak. It means you trust yourself to be strong enough to handle the hurt. It's actually the purest form of strength. And I thought that was really powerful, and I like that because I think like um I'm often very vulnerable, and I feel like, I can cry at the drop of a hat and all those things like that. And sometimes like I'm like, damn, like I'm a weakling, I'm weak. But like, you know what? I can show my emotions. I can be vulnerable with people, and like that shows strength, and I like that in myself. So yeah, I really like that quote. The next quote is friends make better. Oh, sorry. Friends make friends better. We accept the bad parts, celebrate the good parts, and we don't torture you for your mistakes. I really like that as well, just because, friendships are so important to me. And I think that that also kind of heals like that, like people pleaser in me, like, you can't make mistakes type of thing. It's like, your friends that like your real true friends will love you no matter what. They're supposed to accept the good parts, help you work through your mistakes, make you better, and, celebrate the good things. So I really like that. And then the last one I put is maybe it's about experiencing it all, the good, the bad, and everything in between. I like that a lot because I think I was in the camp probably about like a year ago where like I just want everything to be good. I just want to be happy. I want to be chill. I don't want to, like, I just don't want anything bad to happen, like, just all that stuff. And I think, like, that's the thing is, like, life is about experiencing it all. And, you have to experience the bad to experience the good, and, everything in between that. Um, it's life, and it's beautiful. And, you don't want it to be perfect. You just want it to be real, So I like that. Um, so going into the highlights, one of the biggest highlights that I really liked was the friendships between the girls. So in the first book, we already see like a really tight friendship between Naomi and Sloane, and Lena comes in towards the end there, and you can tell that they're like gonna be good friends, but Lena's just she's a loner. She's not used to having girlfriends. She hasn't had girlfriends since high school, she says, and she basically had no friends after she had like a near death experience when she was in high school, and she basically cut everyone out of her life, and she like didn't have any friends after that. And so to see the friendship that she creates with Naomi and Sloane, I think is just really beautiful. It's very pure and love it. And I love female friendships. It's just my favorite. So that was great. Again, it's a spicy book. So it has that going for it for sure. I also liked kind of like the lover boy independent woman trope. It's not a trope that I see a lot in books, but I see it a lot in movies. So I think um I do like it. I do like it for sure. I think I do prefer the grumpy sunshine in the first one, but I do like it. Um there's also like that forced proximity trope because like I had said, Knox is rich. So he owns like a lot of things in the town. Like he owns the police building, and that's attached to the library. So he owns the buildings that Sloane and Nash work in. He also owns the Honky Tonk, which is the local bar. And he also owns it's called Whiskey Clippers, I think, something like that. But it's what's it called for men? Salon, but for men. What's it called? Whatever. A hair cutting place. A barber. A barber, that's what it's called. So he owns like the honky tonk and the barber. They're both in the same building, and then on top of it there's apartments, and he rents out those apartments because so he owns like this whole building. So Nash rents one of the apartments from him, and like this older lady owns one of the other apartments. But I think there's like three up there. So then Lena was staying in the motel that Naomi was staying at. He was like, well, you're not staying in that motel. It's gross. It's like covered in roaches, just like all the things. Knox puts Lena up in that apartment. So they are neighbors. And so that's kind of like the start of that forced proximity. They get closer. And then when, you know, the crime boss story is kind of continuing, there's still more stuff coming up with that. So when like kind of danger rears its head, they end up like staying in the same apartment together, which is obviously something that Lena's not too thrilled about because she's never wanted to live with anyone. She's never wanted to be anyone's like wifey type vibes. And it's just that's what it was giving. But she ended up kind of liking it. So, and like there's like that forced proximity trope. There's also just like a lot of talk about like mental health and trauma recovery. I think I think a lot of people were like not too happy with the way it was written. I didn't mind it, and I think like it's okay. Like I think a lot of people were just like I didn't like that he just like found comfort in Lena. I think it's okay to find comfort in other people. Like sometimes you can't dig yourself out of that hole yourself. Sometimes you need help. I don't know. I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was that bad. Yeah, that doesn't bother me. I also loved how you get to see. So at the end of the first book, uh, Naomi and Knox are engaged. So you get to see the like wedding planning in the second book. You get to see them get married and all that. So I love like the continuation of everyone's stories, like everyone that was in the first book, and just also like the continuation of the crime boss, like story that kind of keeps it like interesting and that like kind of air of danger and mystery in the background of the love story that's going on. So at the end of this, they figure out who it, who shot Nash, and they uncover like a couple like more people in the crime ring of it all. So then we go into the third book, and so the third book gets like really works at tying that crime boss story up into a bow and kind of explains like any of the things that were kind of like what happened to that like in the first two books. As far as the crime boss story goes, it is explained in the third book. As far as I can remember, I don't think there was anything that I was like that was never really explained. So I thought that was cool. Like I really liked how it was just all very tied up very nicely, and yeah, I just really liked that. But you know how I said that Lucian was, the owner of a powerful company, and he's in DC. So he is really like working on just kind of taking um, that crime boss down, and just that's kind of his stick throughout the series. But we really obviously get to see like the bulk of what he's doing in the third book because it's from his perspective partly. um but yeah, so book title is Things We Left Behind, author Lucy Score, again genre romantic comedy, and I gave this one 4.5 stars because I do think that I was more invested in it than the second one for sure, but the first one was still my favorite. My quick opinions are guilty pleasure, pure entertainment, emotional and hysterically funny. I think the writer did a great job making like the book both like emotional but funny. Like there were a lot of really funny quips. I did find myself laughing a lot. So I really like that. This book did take me just like longer to read just because I was doing so much in between. So the day I began reading this book was April 14th, but I did not finish it until May 12th. So this is like the bulk of the time spent on reading this series was in the third book. So for my summary, I put vengeful and wealthy Lucian Rollins works to finally take down crime boss Anthony Hugo, while feisty librarian Sloane seeks justice for a wrongly imprisoned mother her recently departed lawyer father took interest in. Lucy and Sloane navigate old secrets, confront their past, and grapple with the possibility of a future together. So throughout the first two books, like there's a lot of like animosity between Sloane and Lucian, and you just like you're not really sure like what is going on. You just know that like they have a past that did not end well. Um so before I go into just the highlights that I wanted to talk about with this third book specifically is the let's do the quotes. So one is, there are some things we never got over, some things we hide from the light. I just liked how she really just took the two la- titles of the first. I really liked how she took the titles of the first two books and just like kind of put them into a um, line that I believe Lucian says it, but it's just, you know, they have a lot of they have a lot of stuff in their past that they never got over between each other, and like things that they've just, you know, hidden from a lot of people that they just really never talked about again. They never tried to hash it out, and they just kind of just brushed things under the rug, and there's that they like hate each other, and that's that. So I just thought that it was kind of clever that she used the titles of the first two books in that line. You can tell a lot about a person by how they treat others when things aren't going well. I like that quote. I think it's very true. You know, I think we all have stuff that we have going on, and, you know, I think using that obviously doesn't make you a bad person, but just like, you know, treat other people with kindness, even if you're going through something hard. You know, a lot of people are going through hard things, and, you know, let's just treat everyone with kindness, kind of thing. All right. The next one is, sometimes in order to build things back up, you got to tear them down to the studs. And that's kind of referencing how they really had to, in order for Lucian and Sloane to move forward in their relationship, they really had to um like get to the root of things. They really had to like tear down all their walls and all like the things that they've been telling each other, and just be like honest with each other about like their feelings, and, you know, kind of what happened and where things went wrong and all that, so that they could build themselves back up again. But they had to like go back to those basics and really dig deep into everything so that they can, you know, build things back up again. The next one is, embracing the messiest of life is where you find its greatest treasures. So the thing about Lucian is he likes to be in control of everything. He does not like to let anything like, he likes to leave anything to chance. Nothing's out of order. He likes to be in control of everything. He likes to have a pulse on everything. And that has to do with his childhood. They do like flash back and forth throughout the book, and like from their childhood to current. And they do go into the trigger warning, the abuse that Lucian and his mother suffered from the hands of their father, from at the hands of their father, or Lucian's father. And it's made him just, in his life, like he's always felt this responsibility to protect everyone, you know, his mother and just everyone that he cares about. It's always been, you know, his father really obviously physically abused him, but also like very mentally abused him, and just made him think that he's like worthless and just could never do anything right, and just all these things. And so I think he really like overcompensated for that as an adult, and is just like wants to be in control of everything, and he doesn't he's always wanted to, you know, take their family name and turn it into something good, and not like the legacy that his dad had. So I think he just, in order to do that, he feels like he needs to like have control over every like moving piece. And so I think I think that's what his therapist says to him, is just like, you can't control everything. Everything can't be like how you want it. Like, that messiness is where like the good stuff happens. So like you can't control everything. And then another thing, I think his therapist also said this, but the only way out is through, and that's really like you can't avoid, you can't go over it, you can't go under it, you have to go through it. So yeah, it just means like you can't hide from your shit. You gotta can't leave it behind. It'll always rear its ugly head. So you gotta work through it. So the highlights of this book for me was definitely that like childhood lovers to enemies to lovers again trope. I love a good people finding their way back to each other type of story. That's it's one of my favorite tropes. What can I say? I also like kind of like the sophisticated guy, free spirited woman trope, because that's kind of like Lucian. He's very proper suited. He's perfectly groomed and just sophisticated and likes things black, neutral, plain. And like Sloane, she'll wear purple glasses with red lipstick and a green sweater, and she's just chaotic and fun and lively, and um just she lives in like the messiness of life. And I just like how they end up really balancing each other out very well. And just yeah, their story is really cute. Also, I don't know if I said this, but in the second book we get to see Naomi and Knox get married, and then in the third book we get to see Lena and Nash get married. So that's really cute as well. So we kind of get like happily ever afters for everyone, because at the end of the third book, Lucian and Sloane are able to work through their things, and they come together and they are a couple. They get married and all those things. And I really like, so each of the books do have like an epilogue and then a bonus epilogue. So one's like a couple months after the end of the book, and then one's like a couple years after. So you get to see people's or like kind of read about people's like situation as far as like kids and stuff like that goes. So it's just really nice how you could really see the happily evers for everyone. I didn't want to get like too deep. I just don't have enough time to go through like all the little details, but there's also like Naomi's best friend from home who ends up moving to, or like he visits Knockemout a lot because Naomi's there and everything, but he ends up dating Jeremiah, who is one of Knox's best friends, and is his business partner in the barbershop. So I just like everyone that's kind of in the story, they get happily ever afters, and like all in different ways. And I think that was really beautiful and sweet to read about. I like how they like had the continuation of the crime boss story in the third book as well, and it really put a bow on everything. There was like, at first I thought it was like over and they were wrapping things up, and I was like, there's still like some things that like weren't addressed, and then they address them real quick. And I'm like, oh shit, like, so I really liked the culmination of that. And I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, you can skip the second book and just read the third book, but I really don't think you can if you want to understand that storyline. If you're only in it for the romance, then yeah, you could skip it. But I mean, like, why not read the whole book for what it is? But whatever. I really love the friendships in the third book specifically as well, just because there's the continuation of the friendship between the three girls, but there's also like we get to see the relationship between the three boys more as well, like between um Knox, Nash, and Lucian. You also get to see like the friendship that um Salone has with like Knox and Nash too, because like you forget that they all grew up together, and so like Sloane is actually kind of like a little sister to them, which is like heartwarming to see. So it's just like I really just love like the closeness of this group and just everyone being friends with everyone, and like Steph and Jeremiah hanging out with the girls like all the time, and it's just I just love friendships, and I think it's just really like the cherry on top with this whole series. Um it's just really great. I love it. I just love everyone getting together and having parties and just all the things. It's just so nice. So yeah, we get to see the happily out ever afters for everyone, which I love. Like even this is a major spoiler. So it like and like I would have been upset if I knew this beforehand, but I want to say it like for the people who have like read it already and like are feeling the same way. Like I absolutely loved like the storylines of so Naomi and Knox adopt Waylay. They become the legal guardians of Waylay. They adopt her, and then they end up adopting two other little girls as well. So they adopt all their children. Sloane and Lucien adopt two children as well. And then I think Sloane gives birth to one of their children. And then Lena has twins with Nash. But because of the ages that they're adopting them, we get to see like the bonus epilogue for the last book is like 10 years in the future. So it's really not that far, but because of like the adoptions and everything, like this will make sense. But basically, it's like Waylay and Lucien and Salone's adopted son. I guess they were like the same age and they ended up like falling in love and like they have a child together. Like they get married and they have a child together. It's like, isn't that crazy? So yeah, I just think like, well, not crazy, but like it's just so like full circle, beautiful. Like their families are now like all together, like officially as one. I just like, I'm like literally like, I'm literally tearing up because it's just so cute. Like, I just feel like it was the perfect ending, like seeing everyone like married and together and happy and with their kids. And it's like the last episode is, or the last chapter is them like having Christmas together, or it's the epilogue, the bonus epilogue, but like Christmas 10 years in the future together, and they're all together, and the way it's just the picture, it's so vivid and beautiful. And I just, oh my god, I loved just the whole universe, because I think like finishing the book 3 made me like book 2 more. And I think it was because also like in book 3 I think you see a lot more of like, you see like Lena and Lucien like develop some sort of friendship, because Lena ends up working for Lucien, and I like that. Like, so I like Lena a lot more. I just like, I really liked everyone a lot more after the third book. I just think, oh my gosh, like Lucy, girl, these books so good. Thank you so much for your contribution to society, because I love them. Also, just another highlight for the things we left behind is this is the only one out of the 3 books that does like flashbacks and flash forwards. So you get to see Lucien and Sloane when they were in high school and then now. So it adds like context to their backstory, and I really like that as well. I think that was just a great element to it as well. So yeah, I try not to give everything away. There's still a lot of details that I did not say. So even if you didn't read it and you do feel like it was a little bit spoiled, still read it. Still read it. There's a lot of stuff I didn't say. I'm really not doing it justice at all, in the sense that like there's just so the world is so intricate, like that she built within these 3 books is just so intricate and beautiful, and I just love it. So yes, read them, read them. Must read. And I cannot wait for this movie to come out. Let's go over my casting. So Naomi and Tina, they're twins, so they could be played by the same person. But I'm thinking, okay, remember that these are people, they're supposed to be in their like late 30s, like the guys are supposed to be like early 40s, the girls are supposed to be like late 30s. I think maybe Sloane is Nash's age, so maybe she's like 40, 41. I think she is like 40 in the third book. But anyway, they're like older. Not old, but just like older. So just not like, we're not looking at Sabrina Carpenter. We're not looking at, the youngins around here. So I'm thinking for Naomi and Tina, either Alexandra Daddario, you know who that is. Another fan casting that I personally think would be good would be Nina Dobrev. I think she'd do great as Naomi. I think I'd like to see her more as Naomi. Okay, because I'm trying, it's like I'm thinking like blonde, beard. Okay, so the thing is like these people that I'm listing, they need to get jacked and they need to grow a majestic beard. So I'm thinking we could do like Chad Michael Murray as Knox, maybe. Or we could do like Chris Hemsworth. I think if we were going to go Hemsworth, then I think we should do Chris Hemsworth as Knox and Liam Hemsworth as Nash. I think that would be cool. Otherwise, I think Chad Michael Murray would be like kind of a good Knox character, or even like Cord Overstreet. Like I think he's on the younger side for kind of what I'd want, but I still think like because I saw him in that one movie with Lindsay Lohan that Netflix movie for Christmas, I thought that he did a really good job in that, and I could see him kind of being Knox. So I would like that. Lena, I want like someone a little bit more like rough around the edges, but like a baddie. So I'm thinking maybe like Mila Kunis or like Lindsay Lohan for Lena. I think those would be two really good options. If we weren't doing like if we're not doing Liam Hemsworth and Chris Hemsworth for Nash and Knox, then I'm thinking maybe Chris Evans for Nash. I think he would do really good. Sloane, like I could see like Amanda Seyfried being Sloane. I think she like could play that personality really well. I think what's her name? Kristen Bell. I think she could be a really good Sloane. I think my favorite for Sloane would be Brittany Snow, going blonde and wearing green contacts because she has blue eyes. Lucian in my head, like he was played by Shamar Moore from Criminal Minds. I'm thinking like Michael B. Jordan or Shamar Moore. I don't know, like someone, yeah. I don't know. I guess it could be the guy from Lucifer, but I don't know. And I don't know much about him. So yeah, it could be. In my head, if anyone's watched Wizards Beyond Waverly Place, the reboot, I think the girl who plays Billy should play Waylay. I think she's like got the perfect spunkiness for like who Waylay is supposed to be. So I would like to see that. So yeah, let me know who you guys want to see casted, because I'm sure like I'm on an island with what I'm thinking, and I would love to hear like other people's probably more coherent thoughts about that. So yeah, please comment who you would fan cast for any of the characters in the book. Let me know what your thoughts were as well on the books, as far as like what your favorite scenes were or who your favorite characters were, which book was your favorite, which trope was your favorite. If you have a favorite quote, let me know. And yeah, let me know if you have any other thoughts that I did not share about the books. I'd love to hear from you guys. So yeah, just comment, DM me, email me, whatever way you want to get in contact with me. Send it over. All right, well, let's do our affirmations for a badass, because I know I'm running hella over. Stop making excuses and just start the fucking thing. And I feel like I needed that the day that I decided to start the podcast. But there are a couple other things that I've been wanting to do that, I just need to start. So I'll keep this in mind. You guys keep this in mind. Anything that you've been wanting to do, don't let anything hold you back. Don't make excuses. Just start the damn thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be you. All right. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify or YouTube. And don't forget to find us on Instagram and TikTok as well. Thanks for gabbing with me. And don't forget to keep on glowing. Bye.